Priest, this question's for you too. And Rob, it always blows me away that just in school, whether it's high school, even in college, they don't teach financial classes to people. They don't put time aside to say, here's how money works. Here's how this is how you're going to set yourself up in the future so you can exist and live. And that just doesn't happen. And there are the people that go to the mall every weekend, go, I got a check. I'm just because you just think the checks are just keep coming. And
Yeah,
then, unless you have someone walk in your life like you had with Priest, but why do you think that is? Like, did the NFL have things like that? Like you joined up with the team. Did they have like special classes for you guys on the side? Or, hey, you have this meeting and then also today you're going to learn about financial services, like stuff like that? Did they have
yeah.
that for you guys?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
Mark. So, in terms of did they have financial classes? Absolutely, they did. The union also has developed over the past 20 years, and they've been more in front of the guys with information and opportunities for speakers to
Mhm.
come in. It also is something that starts more within your household. So I think at an
Mhm.
early point of how, each of these athletes are raised and the impact of their immediate family, that's where that teaching is. And then some players, I think they go off to college and they have the foresight to be able to say, hey, I want to play in the league one day. Maybe this is something I need to know more information about. I think that with Rob, with him being in that industry, that financial industry, I think he can also speak from his experience, not only as a former player, but especially with what he does from day to day now. So, Rob, what do you think, man, when it comes to that in terms of what guys are being exposed to when they get into the league as far as their financial wealth?
Man, you're absolutely right. And one of the things, Mark, that Priest didn't say, we both served in the NFLPA Players Association. Priest was the chairman of the former player advisory board, and then I succeeded Priest as the chairman of the advisory board. So we've seen, every element from playing to, after football, where the NFL does provide access. They do bring in, subject matter experts. I call them SMEs that the financial services and so on and so forth. Here's the caveat, man. Sometimes you don't know who to trust. Back when we were
Mhm.
playing, and this is no slap or shade to any agents out there. They were just doing their job. But most agents would have their guys who they trusted, right? Their
Right.
trusted advisors. And sometimes those relationships, they were either really good or they were really bad. And so now these guys are so savvy. And with AI, you can kind of go look and train yourself and look at what's going on. I just would say for me, now go back to my grandmother. When I paid her house off, that resulted in me having to get her credit run, and we got the sense to look at her credit score and her credit. And man, guys, I never forget. I saw this charge on her credit, and it was like for $300, and it was like the high credit, and the balance was never going down. And I asked her, I said, "What is that?" And she remembered when I was in high school, man, I needed money to get my girlfriend a gift and I ain't have no money. And she went and borrowed that money at 29%
Oh,
interest.
wow. Yeah.
And she was still paying on that when I was in the league. And that's when I'm like, no, no, no. And I went to that. I'll never forget. I said, you would do this to an elderly person? And that's for me was like, I said, you know what? I got to do something about that. So obviously paid that off, and me getting in financial services is not just something, it's meaningful because the guys that ask me, the guys that, want to, have conversation, I try to make it, I'm non-threatening, meaning I don't want anything from you. I just want to educate, inform with impact. So I've worked at some large financial institutions. And one of the biggest meaningful moments for me in this space was I'll never forget we had the rookies, and I had a chance to meet with the rookies. And to all my Ravens flock, please know, charges to my head, not my heart. I was just trying to help. I was in Pittsburgh when I did this, and we had $1 million cash. We were in the boardroom, and we had the rookies in the room, and we asked the question like, hey, what would you do? Like when you were a rookie, where do you want to where does deploy this money? People, oh, I need some swag, I need some bling. Okay, move that money off the table.
Uh-huh.
What else you need? Oh, I gotta get me a whip. I gotta get a car. Move that money off the table. What else? Oh, I gotta do X, Y, my clothes and my blah blah. Move that money. So when we move the money off the table, guys, we had like 300 grand and they hadn't even bought a house yet.
Oh,
Mhm.
And that was an eye opener for guys to say, hey, you know what? Let me prioritize what I'm doing with my money and spending my money. Now, granted, these guys are making a lot more money than when we came out, Priest.
that's right.
But at the end of the day, the functionality and the method and making sure that they're educated, making sure that they are informed, and making sure it's impactful to me is meaningful. And I think the NFL and the NFLPA does have programs. I would challenge any guys out there listening, to take advantage of that because as Priest once told me, if you let them, people will spend your money.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, how many years has it been, post playing career? You've been working in this, financial service environment. This, you had 20. You must be about 25 years now. How? What are we looking at?
Yeah. Yeah, you got good math, Mark. And so like I'll say this to you. The meaningful part of this that we didn't talk about was my exit from the NFL. When you leave, you find out who your true friends are.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yes.
I'll say. And then
Hmm.
from day one, man, I'll never forget this. I never told this guy. Maybe I did. I remember when I got Ozzy called me to the office and, hey man, you've done a lot of great things in the community, but we're gonna have to let you go. And Ozzy asked me a question, how do you feel about that? And man, I'm at my age now. I teased Ozzy. I saw him at one of the facilities. I'm like, man, that question, like, what did you want me to say? Like, how do you think I felt about it? That was a moment where I had to pivot, man. I thought I was gonna still play. Priest knows this. Our running backs coach Al Levan went to Kansas City. Al called me and was like, "Hey man, when you get healed, we're gonna bring you in." He wanted to bring me into Kansas City. Well, he delivered on what he said he was, but my doctor's record said that I was a high risk of re-injury.
Mhm.
When they saw that, I knew no other team was going to hire me at all, so I had to figure it out. And from the day that I left and I was out of the league, my brother here always called, checked on me. RB, what's up? And so we've always had this brotherhood relationship and just stayed the course, man. And so I just really appreciate that, and I tell that to all guys out there. You go to the league with this dream that, hey, you're gonna play 10 years, you're gonna play 12 years, you're gonna play whatever it is, but sometimes you got to pivot. The NFL for some people stands for not for long, right?
Right.
And you got to pivot. And so for me, I'm just very grateful that I was able to pivot into financial services. And I took every single ounce of that mentorship, that motivation, that resilience, that teamwork, that Priest and Ray that I learned sitting next to Ray. Like I took that into corporate America. And listen, man, life hadn't been just roses, but I would tell you, I feel like made a great life for myself and my family. And I'm very passionate on, doing what's right in the community, being of service, being a servant leader. And listen, man, it's been great. I love what I do. And people always ask me, Mark, what do you do for a living? I help make dreams come true. What do you
Oh,
mean?
love that.
For me, it's the single biggest investment that people are going to make. That's home ownership. And so I'm
Yeah.
in financial services. I help with that. And it's really replenishing and restoring for me.
Yeah, and it's only getting harder and harder, man. Getting a house now for
Oh, yeah.
kids these days. Whew, man, I mean, they're walking out of college with like $100,000 in debt, and it's just like it's wild. Yeah, it's wild times right now. Priest, give me your best Rob Robertson story right now. What's your favorite moment? Is there something out there that you've never told
Oh,
him
man,
that
you
now
about
you
to
want to
make me.
tell him?
I already know where he going with this.
Yeah.
Well,
Is
nah,
there?
there's a lot of stories I could tell, but there's one in particular. You know how you always got that one teammate, man, that swears that they can cook some barbecue or they can burn on the pit, right? Um,
Okay.
Rob actually happens to be one of these individuals, right? And so
Okay.
one of the things that I learned very quickly, we go back to the very beginning when we talked about, what was one of the first impressions about having him as a roommate. Man, when I found out that Rob could cook, I said, "Oh yeah, he got to be my roommate." You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Let's go.
And so Rob, one of the things that he would do, man, every week it seemed like he was gonna throw something on the grill, man. And so my son at that time, DeAndre, my oldest son, was there living with us. And so it was one of those things, man. Rob would put some meat on the grill, and then Rob, man, what DeAndre say, man, when you put that meat on the grill?
Uncle Rob, can I have some of that bull?
So DeAndre was young, man. He was just getting ready to start first grade, man. And so at that time, that was that many, many, many years ago. But yeah, man, he would always say that meat, man, that barbecue meat. He'd always say, Rob, man, you gonna put some bull on there? You gonna put some
Yeah,
bull
put
on
some
there?
bull. Yeah, that was funny. That was funny. And boy, he would clean his plate too. So he ate good. We had a lot of fun during those days, and those are some grand memories, I tell you.
That's awesome, man. That's really, really cool. Um, well, Priest, I don't want to steal your question here, but I love when you ask it, about what brings you happiness at this point, and I don't want to put an answer in your mouth, Rob, but having people or at least helping people figure out financial situation is must feel great. And correct me if I'm wrong, but do you still doing the big brother big sister stuff, man? Are you? Because I know I've never done it myself. I've always wanted to. But those type of programs, especially where I live here in New York City, because New York City has its own challenges every day. I moved here with no money and I was trying to find a dollar slice of pizza every day. But I know that for youth here and jumping over those hurdles or finding your priest homes to be hanging with and learning from is very important. So, is that just another thing that's bringing you happiness these days?
Absolutely, man. I mean, this drink brings me happiness. The fact that I can sit here on a home stretch with my brother, with you, Mark, meeting, and talking, just having good dialogue brings me happiness. The late great Dr. Martin Luther King once quoted, he said that everybody can't be famous, but everybody can be great because greatness is determined by service.
Hmm.
I've learned over the years that it's not about these iPhones and iPads because everybody has them. And what we typically do is everybody wants to post their highlights.
Hmm.
And as I said at the outset, it's in those low light moments that create the highlight reel. That low light moment of me leaving Baltimore, man, that hurt. And not only did I leave, them boys not only went to the Super Bowl, they won it. And you talk about was a tough year. That was a tough year for me. But I go back to all of that and I reflect on the happiness. You asked me earlier about my book, and I was able to write a book and author a book out of obedience, because I wanted to be obedient to what God had planted in me to do. And that book has put me in places and spaces that I never thought I'd be in. Last Friday, guys, yours truly delivered the commencement speech at North Carolina Central University. And I sat in that seat and looked in that crowd to all of those young leaders. And I said, man, I just prayed, thank you for trusting me with the responsibility to just give them a word as they embark upon that intersection from college to adulthood and life. And that was me doing that. And a lot of that stuff was embarked upon from mentors like Priest and others. And so, man, I that happiness makes me happy. And so, one thing that I want to say before we leave this show today, Mark, and you got to help me. I don't know how we do it.
Okay.
My brother, if I can write a chapter, I need somebody out there that can hear me. He has got to be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, let's
I don't
do it.
understand what's going
Yes.
on. We got to fix this, man. Like seriously.
Yeah, we're working
We
on it.
gotta fix it. So I
We're
want to talk about it, and I want to be a billboard about it. Something has to happen immediately. That was the old comedian said that we need to fix that right away.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when we did our first live show, we kind of ended it with that. I was like, "Well, what do we got to do?" We were sitting next to Will Shields and
That's
Neil
right.
Smith, and I just looked at them both. And I said, "Yo, what do we got to do to get Priest in the Hall of Fame now? Come on, what do we got to do?"
So,
And
so Mark, you asked me what brings me happiness. I shared, yeah, I did some things, but that would make me happy if the NFL gods or whoever we need to talk to can
yeah,
figure that out, because the brother's well deserving. You look at statistically, he's deserving
sure.
on and off the field.
Mhm.
Hey, listen, I said it. I'm sticking to it.
Well,
Yeah.
look, he's in your friendship Hall of Fame. There's no doubt about that, right? He's locked in there. Yeah, first
Absolutely. Hey,
ballot.
hey, we're friends, but I think he'd rather that gold jacket.
Yeah. Oh, trade Priest, would you trade your friendship with Rob for Kojak?
No, I'm just telling the truth, man. Listen, we all
Yeah.
I just believe in it. At the end of the day, I heard somebody say this. Hey, did that guy start? The guy passed away. Did that guy start the business, or did they start this thing he was thinking about doing? And they were like, no. And they's like, man, you mean to tell me he took that with him? I think that Priest is gonna live a long, happy life. Let me be clear.
Hmm.
But I want him to know why he's here, and he should not be getting in when he can barely walk on stage and give his speech. I truly believe like something needs to be done, and I'm just an advocate for it. Not just because we're roommates. The facts are the facts, and I'm anchoring everything to reality. And the reality is, go look at the stats. That's what I tell people. Go look at the stats of Priest, Sweet Feet Holmes, and I think you'll see what I see and what I saw. That's all I'll say.
So, Priest, I'm going to say this, when you get in, which nickname are you going to go in as? Because you got about 20 of these. You're going to have to, what do you want to go
I
in?
think Sweet Feet sound good. I like
Sweet Feet's good.
3 feet.
Breaking news from Bet365. New customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Sign up, place a bet for $5 and get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, player props, futures, and so much more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Hey, do you have a gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. Or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 21 plus only, 18 plus in Kentucky. Please gamble responsibly. Must be present in Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, and select parishes in Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. $10 minimum deposit required. Terms and conditions apply. In-app only.
This has been a Playmaker production.